Welcome to River City Plus, the show after the show, the River City After Party. And we are so excited because it is Friday and we are all feeling good about going into the weekend. Now, we have a pretty exciting weekend planned with you, right? Bold City Con, Holiday Expo. Everyone's excited about it.
That's right. We have a bunch of anime voice actors and local artists and vendors and cosplayers and everything else coming out. Should be a lot of fun. We've got a couple after parties planned on Saturday night, so that should be really cool. Should be a really good time right down at Toontown in downtown Jacksonville.
And I'm really excited for you guys. You know, we got to talk about the event itself while we were on air today on River City Live, but I really kind of want to pull the curtain back and understand how you get to build an event like this, because I know a lot of our locals, they love to collab with other businesses, create events, but you guys have really gotten to a space where you're pulling in big names, especially in terms of voice actors, in terms of interactive things that you can do at Bold City. You know, how many years have you guys been doing this?
So Max and I have been working on our Hall of Heroes events, which is our overarching company name, for about 6 or 7 years now, doing different things. We started with a small convention out at the Armory on Normandy with just comic book guests. They were comic book creators and things like that. And then we've kind of grown, and since then we've built Bold City Con, which is the one that's this weekend. Ancient City Con is ours. That's down in St. Augustine in September's. And then we work with the Museum of Science and History and do events with them for their opening and closings of a lot of the different shows that they've got.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna circle back to the voice actors, because selfishly I want to understand more about how this works. Who do you have coming in, and how do you go about bringing these people that are really from all over the country, a lot of them from Hollywood, New York, bringing them to Jacksonville?
So we typically will pick a theme for a show for the voice actors. We try to come up with one anime that we then try to get a bunch of voice actors from the same anime. Now, most of the voice actors do lots of different shows. So if you pick up, we have like Chris Kaysen coming, who is the voice of, I'm looking at my notes because I'm terrible at pronunciation.
You're totally allowed to cheat.
Papago. He's the voice of Papago in One Piece, but he also does voices for Dragon Ball Z and Full Metal Alchemist and several others. So we said, okay, this show we want to do One Piece. We want that to be our kind of voice actor theme. So we contacted a talent agency, an agent that we've worked with on a number of times to bring in voice acting talent, and asked her who she had on her roster who did voices from One Piece. And then based on the size of the show and kind of where we're going to be and all of our other expenses, we pick the ones that we think are going to kind of fit what we're doing that time around. So Ancient City Con, for instance, we usually have our biggest names and our biggest guests and our biggest things, because that's kind of our biggest show with the culmination of the year for us.
Yeah. Now, this is a pretty niche topic when it comes to anime, when it comes to the people really behind those characters. But have you found that there's actually a huge population of anime lovers, of superhero lovers? Like, is there a big community here in Jacksonville?
Jacksonville has an amazing community of anime fans. It's actually much larger than I even realized when we started this. And that's why this show has really become more of a anime focused show, because we realized that is a thing. Fans in Jacksonville are really interested in anime, and so that was a good way to kind of focus Bold City in general as a anime focused convention.
Yeah.
And so our one we did in April, we had a bunch of actors from My Hero Academia, and so this one's One Piece, and I don't know what we'll do next year. We haven't come to that yet.
But when they figure it out, we'll make sure you know about it. Don't worry. Now, what I kind of want to ask you is, what got you into this specific sector of fandom? Because like you said, we do have a big community here, but like I said, it is niche. But I know that it's one of those fan bases where there's a lot of commonalities when it comes to why people like anime. What I've heard when I've talked to other people who are interested in it is it's the storytelling behind it. Like, it's a very unique way of storytelling, and kind of that sequential journey that you go through with the characters.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna make it even more basic than that. We all like Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
And as we got older, we grew out of the Saturday morning cartoons. And anime is cartoons for grown-ups. And you don't have to feel guilty about watching cartoons for grown-ups.
Right.
Because they're really not for kids. And some of them are. I mean, some of them have, different themes. But there's a little more, I can watch this and not feel like I'm, 6 watching cartoons on Saturday
Right.
morning, which is also okay if you still like to watch Scooby-Doo.
Listen, yeah, I was gonna say we're never gonna shame that here. Whatever you need to do to protect your peace on a Saturday morning, you
Hey,
do it.
Absolutely.
You
We've had
do
the
it.
voice of Scooby-Doo at a couple of our shows. So
That's so cool.
there's no shame in any of this. I'm just saying that's kind of where I think a lot of it
The
comes
evolution,
from,
sure.
is the evolution of enjoying cartoons and now wanting something a little more adult. And it's massively popular in Japan. A lot of the anime films that are released in Japan eclipse any of the live action movies that are released there. And a lot of those shows are now imported into the States, and the voice actors dub them almost on the fly as
Wow.
they're released. So they've changed a lot of that model so that the animation comes from Japan to America, and they go into a studio, and within 1 to 2 weeks, they have a dubbed version of it available to air on American outlets in English.
Wow. And so what would a typical, voice turnover time be for that? Because that sounds like a very accelerated timeline.
So I actually had a good length conversation with one of the voice actors who was here earlier this year. And he was basically saying they get it. They bring him in the studio. A lot of them live in Houston because that's where one of the major recording studios for voice actors is
Okay.
for the anime shows. And they give them, here's your lines. You've got 2 days. Come in and we're going to record them. And then they do the overproduction. And 2 weeks later, they're on air in English.
Wow.
Yeah. And so what they can do then is the show comes over as it's released in Japan on a weekly basis, and then we still have them running weekly. They're just, 2 or 3 weeks
Right.
delayed.
Wow, that's so interesting. Like,
That's not the case with all of the shows, but that's a
no, but that's such an interesting nugget. I never would have thought, trying to keep up with that timeline and what that looks like in order to get it here in America, because people are waiting on it already.
yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's so cool. Now, something else that we did talk about on air, and I kind of wanted to dive into a little bit more before we go, is that this go round, you're going to have an opportunity where people can actually turn themselves into an action figure.
Well,
So
it's probably more of a statue than an action figure. I don't think there's articulated pieces.
the action comes in the playing, right?
Right, yeah.
You make the action.
There's a vendor coming out who has a trailer with a 3D camera in it, and the 3D camera takes a picture of you, presumably in your costume, and then they print out a 3D version of your actual costume in a little
Wow.
handheld 3D little statuette or action figure.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask about the logistics of this. Do people need to sign up to do this? Is it just going to be a line situation?
It'll
Because
just be a
I
line
feel
situation.
like this is going to be a big hit.
It'll be a line situation. We will see how it goes, and we'll probably have them at all of our events coming forward
Right.
because
It's gonna be in
It's
demand.
going to be super neat, and everyone's going to really want to do it. So I would say come and check it out because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, it should be cool.
Awesome. So before we go, can you just give me a rundown for the weekend? If people do want to be first at the door, when do they open?
Absolutely. So tickets are on sale at boldcitycon.com. You can get your tickets now. They do go up by about $5 tomorrow. So if you get them today, they're a little cheaper than they are tomorrow. And the doors open at 11. It's 11 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. And then after the show tomorrow at Myth Nightclub, there's a after party starting at 5. There's an all ages after party that goes from 5 to 8, and then from 8 till 1 a.m. it's 18 and up.
That'll be so fun. Well, thank you so much for giving us kind of that behind the scenes look of Bold City Con. No, holiday edition, the Santa-tastic Bold City Con. So we are really excited to have that this weekend. Now I'll make sure that you have everything linked right after this on rivercitylivetv.com. Make sure you join us morning for 9:30 River City Live, and we'll be here right after the show at 10:15 for River City Plus. Y'all have a great weekend.